Okay, I got David Coleman here from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Hey, Dave, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Mike. Happy New Year to you. Thanks for having me back on. Interested to talk about some railroad topics tonight.
All right, you mentioned something about some derailments over in Idaho somewhere recently.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so
I'm
that's
sure
a good
we're going
way.
to get to that, correct?
Yeah, that was a big thing that was on a couple days ago on train orders around the first of the year there. I guess some guy, 40-year-old man, placed an IED on a railroad car in Payette, Idaho, and he tried to light it. Thankfully, the bomb didn't go off, and he was tracked in the snow, and he was caught by the cops there. This was on a siding next to the Union Pacific main line. This is the main line that the Union Pacific has, Mike, that runs, from like the Pacific Northwest down into like Wyoming and connects with the line that goes all the way into Nebraska and then towards Chicago. So it's a very important route for any trains that go to, like, say, Seattle or Portland or, anywhere up that way. I think there's a yard up there in Hinkle, Oregon, that the Union Pacific uses pretty heavily. This would have been a really, really bad thing. I guess he was, I guess the resident was identified as Brent Shirai, and, he was found, I guess he was booked into jail for a couple different felonies, a misdemeanor, resisting and obstructing officers. And I guess an agent from the FBI even went there, and there was a search warrant. Just pretty scary stuff, man. That a guy, would try to do this. Obviously it's a really deranged individual here that should definitely spend plenty of time behind bars, hopefully, for just stupidity and showing how ridiculous of an act this was.
Wow, it sounds like the act of this one kid, though, was filming a train, though, and they supposedly actually caused the derailment, actually a collision with a boxcar. And you remember that?
I do, yeah.
It sounds like something along that lines. But anyway, the story is there's a rail fan out there filming a train, and apparently the same car was seen around the switch and had tampered with it. Well, this Norfolk Southern comes around the bend and stuff, and next thing you know, it was running into the siding and wham, right into a parked freight car. I believe it was sitting there for maintenance or some darn thing, though. He's going, oh, my God, really poor acting out there. I've seen the video, man, and I still have the copy of the video somewhere, so... Wow, I mean, all right, go ahead. I had to bring that along the lines with that, though.
Yep, no, that's a good comparison with what happened, and let's just hope, this guy is prosecuted and does a lot of hard time for what he did. I guess a few other things that I was going to get to. Now we've talked a lot about Brightline, and there was a story. It happened at the end of the year. Down in Delray Beach, which is between Fort Lauderdale and West Palm Beach on the Brightline and Florida East Coast main route down there. And obviously, Mike, from being in Florida, and I've spent a lot of time in Florida, it's very flat down there. So there's a lot of grade crossings because the tracks never run too far from the Atlantic Ocean. And so what ended up happening was, I guess there was a fire truck from Delray Beach that got stuck on the tracks. So I guess a FEC freight went by on one of the tracks, and then the Brightline train came by the other track, obviously going at a much higher speed, and the back end of the truck was on the track where the Brightline train was coming through, and I guess it hit it. So I guess... there was a big talk, like on New Year's Eve, I guess the fire chief, Ronald Martin, for Delray Beach was saying, thankfully no one died from this. We're working to make sure this doesn't happen in the future. And I guess 15 people were injured from this. But, Mike, it just goes to show that, when you're dealing with grade crossings on a double track line, especially when you have this high-speed rail, this operation with Brightline, you got to be super careful, when you're crossing the tracks. You got to be looking in both directions, make sure there's nothing coming, because this is obviously a different type of operation than people have seen down there, because for years, Mike, that line was just freight trains primarily at night, and now you got all these passenger trains, so it adds a different dimension, and you always talk about it in your videos, and I always talk about it. A train can show up at any time on a Class 1 railroad or a major railroad with passenger trains. Definitely with freight, we've seen that. I mean, we're seeing, Mike, Christmas and New Year's just passed. These railroads around the country were running trains pretty steady on these holidays. So we're finding out, Mike, it's a 365-day operation for most of these railroads, and you got to keep your eyes and ears open at all times.
Absolutely. In fact, tonight we had a kind of a case like that tonight. While taking my friend Steve home after that rotten Browns game we watched, good riddance anyway. On the way back home on Oberlin Road, I heard the dispatcher telling the train, 15-mile-an-hour speed restriction due to gate malfunctioning on the 211 crossing, which happens to be Oberlin Road. I approached it up there cautiously, and I knew, I think it was 28X coming at the time. I was kind of looking to beware, and I got up there, and I looked down the tracks, and there he was. He wasn't too far down there, but he was moving slow, very slow.
Yeah.
And I needed to get back here, though, but I went across cautiously. But he was down there a ways yet, He was going slow, and I knew it. So I went across anyway since the gates weren't functioning at the time. I'm sure they got a signal maintainer down there as soon as they can get them to the area. So anyway, that's a prime example. They didn't function, period. They should have about where he was positioned at. Usually I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and like last night, I was telling you about last night how there was a trespasser that got hit by a NS train 62V east of Pittsburgh out in Westmoreland County in Greensburg there on the main line there, and it backed up traffic for quite a while. So, there's no doubt. I mean, the people just have to be more careful around the railroad. They have to understand that, hey, trains, especially in the winter too, Mike, they can be really quiet too, because it's a different Doppler effect. And obviously there's a lot fewer leaves on the trees. So, it's almost like when you're further away, you can hear the train sometimes better than when you're close up to the tracks.
Funny you say that. I've noticed that too myself. With a lot of snow on the ground too, it also muffles it. I found too. But yeah, you're right. I have noticed that in wintertime, no trees around. I could hear them suckers a long ways away coming. Even the rumble of the diesel coming down there. Even though you're looking, don't see nothing. A little while later, you hear the horn at the crossing section where I'm at, and they're coming. As well as you hear the EOTs too, since we do that.
Yes.
That's EOT, if you're wondering, people, though. That's in the train device. EOT. What did I say? EOT.
Yes.
Yeah, end of train device. Somehow they don't come out right. But that's what it is, A lot of people say EOT, so. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, so while we're talking about cold weather and snow, how about this story from North Dakota? We talked about this last summer with CPKC. They had a pretty big derailment out there last summer, kind of a mini East Palestine type derailment. And they had another one that happened, I think it was on the 30th of December, about 60 miles west of Fargo on the Carrington subdivision. And I guess it happened in Cuba, North Dakota. which is about 11 miles southeast of Valley City, North Dakota. Another derailment out there happened again. It's, you know, I guess the train was either empty or carrying sand. So fortunately, it wasn't like a toxic chemical, you know, like we've seen with these other derailments. But, you know, I got to be honest with you, Mike, it seems weird that, like, you know, you wonder about the condition of the track up there in North Dakota. And then the other thing you wonder about, too, is, like, in the wintertime, you know, with these derailments happening, are they just running trains that are just way too long, you know, and you know, something could, you know, break apart a lot easier. You know, broken rails can happen in the winter. And I think the other thing, too, Mike, is, like, you know, if they're having issues, CPKC is after this merger, you just wonder how buttoned up the operation is, where they're not focusing on these little things. I mean, we remember last year they had that runaway in Iowa, and now they're having, like, you know, it seems like they're always in the news lately, and it hasn't been the most positive stuff. So
Yeah.
you just got to wonder about the complications of this merger and where things are at with them.
Yeah, I was hearing something in the background over there. Sound like somebody yelling and screaming on the railroad radio. I'm not sure what it's all about.
I did hear that. Yeah, I heard that.
No telling what's going on. Maybe somebody's griping about that grade crossing witness in a while. Who knows? I can't see the frequency display from here. So, all right. So where are we at here?
Yeah, so that was just, that's what I was talking about with the CPKC, with the derailment there. I guess one good thing, though, they are talking about, they've a lot of new power, I guess they ordered from Wabtec or GE Transportation. And I guess a lot of these engines were destined to go to the Baffinland iron mines up in northern Canada on Baffin Island. And I guess what ended up happening was, Mike, these units were upgraded for service high above the Arctic Circle because of how harsh the winters are up there. And so these engines, I guess, were then modified by Wabtec or GE Transportation, and they had to be removed. The Arctic modifications had to be removed. You know, so it's going to be interesting to see, you know, what they do with these engines. And I guess some of these engines have already been running around the system a little bit. But I guess the last time before the merger, the KCS or the CP purchased new locomotives. CP was in 2012 and KCS was in 2019. So it's been a little while since CP and KCS bought their own engines. So I guess that shows promise that they probably think they're going to, you know, pick up some traffic with this merger. But, you know, Mike, I just hope that they're, you know, not letting things slip through the cracks, and there's more attention to detail to make sure that things are running smoothly and efficiently here going forward with both of these companies.
Wow. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, see, we're good on time, so what else you'd like to cover? Because I don't really have a whole lot to add, though, other than past week I did hear a couple cases of hot wheel bearings, but it was nothing more than stuck brake shoes due to the cold weather.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah,
as air cylinders get water, they freeze up, you know, and they don't pull the brake shoes back off the wheel sometimes when they pressure up. Anyway, that's the only thing I've heard, though, is smoking wheels. So they said, oh, it's wheel bearings. No, it's smoking brake shoes usually every time. Otherwise, a detector would have said so, you know. Some of these detectors around here don't pick up a brake shoe or that kind of defect, I don't think, around here.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. Yeah, some of the detectors are not as detailed and as high-tech as other ones.
Yeah.
I can see there would be those issues for sure this time of year, you know, with the cold weather. But while we're talking about somewhere where it's cold, man, I guess CN is talking about having an open house on a proposed logistics hub near Chicago. And there's a lot of kind of controversy with this.
Yeah.
I guess it's going to happen in middle of January in Shanahan, Illinois. And I guess a lot of people were talking, Mike, on this railroadfan.com website where I got this story from. People were saying that, it's going to be a problem, I guess, because they're going to have to kind of build a new route to do this in there.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess there's a lot of congestion on the CN going into Chicago with the intermodal traffic at the Harvey, Illinois intermodal terminal on the old Illinois Central. So I guess from a railroad standpoint, it might work. But then a lot of people were saying that, if they build this new logistics terminal, it's really going to make this little town go from a peaceful little town to maybe kind of a noisy industrial area with a lot of truck traffic. And so that's why they're having this open house in about a week and a half. So be interested to see what comes out of this, Mike, because, Chicago is a huge spot, on any railroad, but CN trains can go a lot of different directions out of Chicago. They can go west up through Wisconsin and into Western Canada that way, or they can go south towards New Orleans on the old Illinois Central. So
they're out here quite often too, out this way.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see what way they go with this logistics terminal, Mike, if this is something they're serious about or they're not. And a lot of people on this railroad fan website were making a good point is I guess they were saying that the truck traffic in Michigan, that parallels the CN line that runs through Michigan into Canada, is quite heavy these days. I think it's I-94 up there. I've never traveled on that highway, but a couple of the rail fans were really adamant about CN should add a couple more trains on that line, through Durand and into Port Huron, Michigan, just because, there's so much truck traffic. Maybe you could snipe away some of that traffic and get it on the railroad. So going to be interesting to see where this goes, Mike, because anytime you add a yard in a small town, typically it seems like it kind of, it can be an eyesore, and you can get the NIMBYs involved, and it can get very political over something funny.
Yeah, I hear that. Wow. Yeah, I've been up that. We talking about 94 running up towards Sarnia. Is that what you're referring to?
Absolutely. Great pull there. Yeah. Yep. Great pull.
Been up there through that way many times. Yep. Yeah,
I've never been up there, but great Sarnia reference there, by the way. Sarnia is where the tunnel is there, where they enlarged it years ago, so CN could run the double stacks through there, so from Canada to Chicago. So, I hope they do this, Mike. I think it's a good move for the railroad. It's going to create jobs for the railroad. And I'll say this, too, about Chicago. I heard a commentator on a show the other day saying that Chicago's got so many politics with their politics and even their sports teams and stuff that anything positive for Chicago is a good thing at this time, because a lot of people are moving out of Chicago because there's been a lot of negativity the last few years there with crime and stuff. So, and I know this terminal is not in Chicago itself, but anything around there that can help the economy, I'm all for it, man. I think it'd be good.
The only thing that's going to help their economy is to get rid of the corrupt politicians out of that town and clean up the garbage. That's the only way.
You're right. Yeah, you're right. Nope, you're 100% right.
Look what you got for a mayor up there. She's a piece of crap.
Yep. No, that's exactly what this. That's what this commentator was saying on another on a show the other day I was watching. But there's no doubt about it, man. It's crazy. While you're talking about something that's lousy and crappy, I don't know if you got the story I sent you today, but the Portland and Western their bridge, this is a short line out in Oregon, their bridge collapsed today. I guess the local was working the Corvallis area on the line south of Corvallis. They used to run to Monroe and Hull Oaks. And I guess the bridge over the Marys River collapsed as they traversed it. The bridge is adjacent to the Avery Park.
Wow.
I guess local said that there is a rail car in the river, so it does sound like the power made it across the bridge.
Wow.
The bridge had been burned down years ago in an arson fire, but I do not know if the repairs had been made to it. And then there's a few photos. This comes from train orders. You can see one of the cars is like hanging off this thing. It is nasty looking, Mike. It's not going to be cheap to fix. And then like one of the posters on train orders made a great comment that it's really an excuse to abandon the line. Fortunately, the train crew are lucky in something like this, Mike. I always say that, it looks like, I guess it's a covered hopper that is hanging over the edge of the bridge. It's broken.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, my God, Mike.
I'll have to take a look at that one, though. I've been so all over, man. I'm hit and miss different things you post. I don't see them all, but eventually I do. I just haven't got that far, I guess. Sorry about that.
No problem. Yeah, that just came out tonight. I
haven't looked at it yet or seen it yet, I guess.
Craziness, man. Yeah, absolutely crazy. I think there's something on YouTube about it, too. It says just people are just saying, I'm guessing that probably the tonnage of the train was pretty heavy, probably for the bridge. And, Mike, it's interesting because I'll kind of combine this. Remember a few weeks ago, we heard about the derailment with that tourist railroad up by Akron. What was it, the Cuyahoga Valley?
And Peninsula, yep.
Yep. So, you just wonder, the maintenance of these smaller railroads, how small their budgets are. And when was this bridge last inspected? And that was when the Cuyahoga Valley had that derailment, where the passenger cars, obviously ended up off the tracks there. So it just kind of makes you a little bit nervous, saying, hey, when you get around these short lines, how good are the tracks? How safe are the bridges? Because this is not a big operation, like the railroads we watch day in and day out. So and especially in the wintertime, too, with how the weather can really have an effect on, the operations. And little thing can really do a number on the railroad.
Well, I've been around them tracks, so, I actually filmed one day coming in and out of the station. Actually left the station toward Akron, though. I was looking at the rails and the equipment around there, and they looked like they were maintained in pretty darn good shape. Even though they're stick rail joints, but they were all in pretty nice shape. They weren't all worn down to the bone or anything like that. They were in good condition, so I'd say it had to have been passable. I think maybe that derailment could have been a fluke. I think they do maintain it, though. I'm pretty sure they do.
Yeah, it'll be. I would say they do because they got so many people running over it.
They'd have to.
Yeah, that's the one thing with these tourist railroads. They don't need a lawsuit or anything from anybody, with any kind of injury or problem, because that would put them out of business pretty quickly. But it'll be interesting with this short line out west. What was the deal with the bridge and all that? And I'm going to look more into that. And I'm sure there's going to be a big follow-up on this, too, because it just seems like, obviously this could have been prevented. And it may be the train was just too long and heavy. And, to run it over a bridge that's collapsing like that, definitely the infrastructure of it is very questionable.
Well, it couldn't have been too good if it gave way like that. Come on.
Yeah, no question about it, man. The other big story that I saw last week was, actually came out at the beginning of this week, was the terminal dwell on the Class 1 railroads is mostly down as service recovery continues to recover. I guess these railroads are trying to do a better job of getting their trains over the road and not having them sit in the yards as long as they have. That was something that I just saw. It sounds like the railroads, from what I read, Mike, on railfan.com and the Trains magazine stuff, it sounds like they were doing a better job of keeping things moving, and there wasn't as many headaches this past year with the Class 1s. I think they've understood that we've run off enough customers. The ones we've got left, we better do a good job with them, or else things are really going to start to go to trucks exclusively, and we're not going to have any customers left. So the ones we got left, obviously the big ones, the UPS and the Schneider National, JB Hunt, FedEx.
Yep.
You gotta really bow down to them, because at the end of the day, Mike, those are the real big ones, and there's still some companies out there that the chemical companies, some of the coal companies like around here, where they ship down into West Virginia and those areas.
Yeah.
It's important to take care of them. But boy, when you get involved with like UPS and stuff, you've got to make sure that you're giving them the creme de la creme of customer service to make it work on a big Class 1 railroad.
Yeah, speaking of that, though, they've been running a lot of coal and coke here lately, too. I mean, lots of them. In fact, there was one this morning. On the way to get my friend, though, I just missed one by that much, Chief, if you remember, Wax so smart. I missed it by that much. It would have been a nice train to catch, a coal train, but hey, what do you do? But I caught two on the way back, so we had one for Browns Day Sunday and a second one for Browns Day. The second one had two nice-looking CNs on it, too, so they do come around.
Interesting. Yeah, I saw a couple CNs on one of the rail cams last night out near Chicago, so that...
it might have been the one.
Could have been. Very well could have been
the one.
Yeah, it could have been. It was
I forget what train it was. I didn't really get an ID. In fact, he wasn't identifying his mile markers as he came along. He just appeared in the rearview mirror down to the last crossing down there. And I was waiting to hear an ID. No, where's the ID? I know he's coming. There's his headlight. How come he didn't ID? Go figure. I guess they're just lazy. I don't know. Some of them are like that, lazy. Oh, I ain't calling none. They're supposed to.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. They need to. They definitely need to go out and be able to, really say that, hey, they're going to show, where their train is at, and that just is, the rules. I mean, hey, you got to follow the rules. The rules are, hey, identify and really, Mike, how hard is it to say I'm 29G? I got a clear signal on track 3 at least, and that's it. I mean, you don't have to give any. You have to give an essay on it. Just stay where you're at, and it only helps people, So, but yeah, that's a big thing, man, and it'll be interesting too with this new, I guess Donald Trump, who's going to be going in as president in a few weeks, named David Fink, the former president of the Pan Am Railroads, as the next administrator of the FRA a few weeks ago. And I guess the Senate has to make this official. Fink is the son of the late David A. Fink, who was part of the Guilford Rail Systems back in the 80s when they acquired a bunch of New England railroads and also the Delaware and Hudson. And let's see, they later became Pan Am Railroads. And let's see here. So he's a fifth-generation railroader, which is a good thing. 45-plus years of transportation leadership and success, which will deliver the FRA into a new era of safety and technological innovation. I guess he worked. He began his career at General Motors in the 80s, joined his father's railroad in the late 90s, became president in 2006, and stayed on till 2022 when CSX bought out the Pan Am. So I like that this guy's got like real railroad knowledge, Mike.
Yeah.
And this isn't just some guy off the street that, was like a CEO, from like another industry. I think this is a good move, and I think it's, hey, you know what? I think right now we're seeing anything that Donald Trump has done has, been positive so far. And we're obviously excited when he's going to go into office, and this will be another, I think, good move for the rail industry to have a guy that was involved in it on the the actual the level of dealing with the customers, dealing with the employees, and now he's going to oversee the whole thing. So good on Trump and his administration to get this done, and looking forward to see what this guy does with the FRA.
Well, we'll see how he handles it. Well, it looks to me we've been on here approximately around 30 minutes. I don't know how long it was when I went off on the insurance company, though. Probably a good 5 minutes. So, but anything else?
I think we got pretty much everything covered there. I mean, there's a little story about, I guess, the UP, and Metra and Chicago are kind of feuding about who's going to run the trains and all that stuff. That still hasn't been finalized. That's still going to go on for a while. But that's pretty much it, man. There's not too much else that we've gotten into. I mean, we talked about some of the bigger stories there. Do you got anything else, or what else you got?
No, but somebody wants me to call her tonight, and I think you know who.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, that's I'm interested to hear from Chimpeesa Jones.
Yeah, let's see what Chimpeesa, though. I guess I don't know. We'll see what he has to say.
Hello, Chimpeesa Jones resident.
Hey, Chimpeesa, how you doing? You said you wanted me to call.
Hey, Mike. I was just thinking about you because I was on YouTube watching them train videos you made.
Yeah.
They pretty cool.
Glad you like them.
But you're right. That conductor was lying on y'all. Y'all train watchers, the train brain enthusiasts.
Oh,
They
yeah.
was making false reports, but that ain't true. You all just worry about safety and about the trains to make sure they running good. Hey, is you on talking to David Coleman right now?
Yes, we are.
Is you talking to him on the phone right now, too?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. That's like a conference call. I like David Coleman.
It could be.
He's a bitch. But you know what? I think he's from Buffalo.
I
New
believe
York.
he is.
I think he said that one time. I know his accent sounds like he's from Buffalo. What did the guy from Buffalo say when he was telling his children to go to school and have a good day at school?
I'm sorry, what?
He said, bye, son. Bison. Buffalo, that's a bison. But I think one of David Coleman's relatives in Buffalo, New York, they was deciding on what to put on the license plate for the New York State.
Yeah.
And they was thinking about, you know how a license plate got some kind of thing on the bottom? Well, New York, they were voting on this thing to put on the license plate for New York, and it said, don't worry, it always smells like this. The David Coleman relative voted no. He didn't like that shit. But that's cool. That's cool. That's a good vote. I think they made the right decision on that. Is David Coleman really rich?
I don't know. I don't know.
Because I remember when I went camping one time, we had Coleman lanterns. I wonder if he owned that company. Was David own Coleman Banners?
No, I don't think so.
I remember when Buffalo Bills, they beat the Cleveland Browns 31-23 in 2020, I think it was.
I don't want to hear about that one.
But that's the way they treat me on Gab, Chimpeesa Jones. I get blocked more than the Cleveland Browns running backs.
I don't want to hear about Browns.
Chimpeesa Jones so much.
Yeah.
David and Mike, do you know why?
Why's that?
I can tell you exactly why. Because they racist. They racist as hell.
Oh, come on.
They racism is more racist than any racism of any racist committing racism anywhere for being a racist. Because they all racist. That's why they block me. Because they don't like Chimpeesa Jones, that sweet, innocent girl who talk about systemic racism in America. Because they racist. You racist. Anyway, I gotta bounce, cause
okay.
I flew down to Mexico to get Tyrese out of jail, and he come back, and that dude has diarrhea like crazy from drinking the water. Do not drink the water in Mexico, cause you will poop your brains out. I'm telling you right now.
I eat too many tacos.
So I gotta bounce. I love y'all. I love you, Mike. I love you, David Coleman. I love you, Steve. I love you, Gail. I love you, Nat. I love you, Kevin. I love you, Phil. I love you, John. I love you, Wayne. I love Matthew. I love everybody in the chat room. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace with chicken grease. For sure.
Wow. Okay, you go bounce.
What have I found but a bunch of trifling, shiftless, good-for-nothing niggers?
Oh, jeez. I don't know where that part came in. Well, I guess we had to hear from him. Okay, so I guess that'll come out conclude it tonight. You there?
Yeah, Mike. Yeah, what's up?
You didn't hear that?
Yeah, I did. I sure did. Yep.
Okay, I don't know what your reaction is. I couldn't hear any reaction or anything, I guess.
I was kind of surprised here. Yeah, it's, I get, yeah, a couple things. Yeah, she's got some interesting takes there for sure. But yeah, the other thing I wonder too, whatever happened to the Indian guy that was opening up the 7-Eleven with her? Is he? We haven't heard from him in a while, so I'm hoping to hear from him again.
Fajet, I don't know. Cork showing what it has ties with him, so I don't know. I'll have to ask him. He should be out here pretty later on, so we'll find out.
Yeah, some interesting thoughts there, but yeah, I don't own the cooler company like she was saying.
No, I know that. The Lantern Company.
But, yeah, never a dull moment when she comes on the air, for sure.
Yeah. All right. Reference that conductor she's talking about. You see that video where the conductor accused us of sending in false reports and stuff, though? Well, the gates were malfunctioning when we arrived on the scene. It was the next crossing away from us, though, and yeah, it was M225 that went by. That conductor said that. Well, later on, the signal maintainer came along and reported back to dispatch. It is confirmed they are malfunctioning. So the joke's on him.
Yeah, that guy was a jerk. Yeah, that's all I can say.
Get your facts, idiot, you know.
Yep, he was a jerk. Yeah, he was just, sounds like a miserable guy.
Well, it sounds like this one grouchy old geezer we have on Wheeling Lake here. He don't like photography or rail fanners, so when I know he's on that train, I try to avoid filming the cab with him on that side, you know, just so I don't have to hear his crap, you know. You know, I tried to talk to him, be friends with him. He don't want nothing to do with anybody.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. He's an asshole. You know?
Yeah,
too bad, you know. And he sounds like a 15-year-old kid when he talks on the radio too. It's weird, you know. I swear I was a young kid though, and here's this old guy, you know, talking like a 15-year-old kid. But wow. All right, Dave. Thank you for being on here tonight.
You got it, Mike. Thanks for having me on, man. And have a good night.
Let's see. When are we going to be back here? Let's see. Looks like February 1st.
Beautiful. Sounds good, man. Well, I'll be in touch with you.
Exactly 4 weeks away.
Yep, not too far away, man. Yep, hopefully it warms up a little bit.
Yeah, I hope so, too. So, all right, Dave. We'll talk to you next time.
Sounds good, buddy. Have a good night.
Okay, that was David Coleman from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, though. Been on there long enough, though. So, anyway, with that, though, let's turn it back over to that control. Hopefully, Big Daddy Cork may come on here, though. He did give me a brief call, though. He said he might be able to make it for at least a little bit of a round, you know, and we'll see how that works out. So, anyway, back over to that control. KA2PTE with WB4AIO. And me, no Natalie. Gail. Sorry, Gail. Anyway, back over to that control. This is at 8 RBI.